Hey guys, I think I'm having technical difficulties with my equipment. I'm going to bring up Gardis Watts and Big Mike. We're talking about Fred Hampton today and the legacy. Give me 1 second. Let me just adjust this and see if this works, you guys. Just going to move some things around. And hello to everyone that entered the chat. Of course, it's such an important stream, and my stream is acting up. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I think we're in business. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. And I'm going to bring up Gardis. You guys who's in the chat, man, with Magnolia, let me know if I sound all right. 1 second. Hey Gardis, I'm bringing you up. Do you hear me okay?
I can hear you very well and clear. How you
Oh,
doing?
great. Yes. Okay, let me bring up Big Mike. I'm sorry for the tardiness. Hey Big Mike, you're live. Big Mike and Gardis are live. I think Big Mike has his mic his mic muted. But we're talking about Fred Hampton today, and I thank you guys both for joining the call. And I'm just gonna bring Big Mike down until just in case, because I don't know if he knows he's live yet. So I'm just gonna bring him down and then mention him in the chat. Okay. And so, Gardis, I wanted to talk about this because I thought this was really important, especially during Black History Month, and also because we brought up Dr. King, how he was a revolutionary, and everyone thought it was just the "I had a dream" speech, and it made me think of Fred Hampton. And I know you really know history. Do you want to start the conversation off?
Yeah, sure. So Fred Hampton, his actually government name was Frederick Allen Hampton. Born in August 30th, 1948. Um, Basically grew up on the west side of Chicago, particularly Maywood. Um, Chairman Fred basically kind of grew up in a somewhat middle class family, not really destitute. He grew up with working parents. I think they worked in a local factory. So, Fred didn't grow up in abject poverty, like most blacks did in the Chicagoland area. But I mean, he didn't grow up rich either. So, kind of somewhat middle class family. But the thing about the thing about Chairman Fred Senior is that he was very much connected to the struggle. When you're talking about the 50s and the 60s, when the civil rights movement had just started, and many people feel like the movement kind of started with the lynching of Emmett Till in '55. However, um, Chairman Fred's activism started because of the fact that his family has ties to Emmett Till. Apparently, Chairman Fred's mother used to babysit Emmett Till. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, she used to babysit Emmett Till. So there was that connection with that, and Chairman Fred basically kind of understood the injustices that was going on with black people during that time. So it was not a coincidence of his activism early, because as early as about 10 years old, you know, many people think that the Black Panthers, came up with this breakfast program, when they was created in '66. But apparently, as early as 10 years old, a young Fred Hampton would uh, would cook breakfast for the children in his neighborhood. So he kind of like created a breakfast program at a very young age, because like I said, he kind of knew what was going on around his neighborhood, because many of the black folks in his area, wasn't living very well, and many black folks was living in abject poverty. So him creating this breakfast program was was something for him to give back to the community. And he was 10 years old at that time. 10 years old.
Wow.
Now, yeah, exactly. So when you look at kind of like the arc of his life, being in Maywood, he ends up at Proviso East High School, where he's basically a top student academically and also a lettered athlete as well. So Chairman Fred at an early age was kind of what they call a genius. He was, he had a high aptitude as far as the subjects. He was very much in depth in history because he loved history. But while he was at Proviso East, he just didn't go to school. He just didn't play sports. But he also rallied and campaigned for more Black teachers and the teaching of Black history at Proviso East. So he kind of organized these mobilizations where he got together the Black students at Proviso East to, have the administration hire more Black teachers. Now, this is basically early in his life. So when you think about him at 16 years old, organizing this campaign, organizing a ball where he wanted the school to have a black king and queen, crowned at the ball.
Wow.
But also too, when he was a senior, and I think he was 18 years old, he also created a Black cultural center in Maywood. This is him at 18 years old. And not only just that, he joins the NAACP Western Suburban Branch and becomes the leader of the youth division, where he basically kind of organizes protest against, police brutality, because he kind of saw what was going on. Now, like I said, all this before his 19th birthday. So he was very active at a young age as a teenager. So when Chairman Fred graduated in 66, he got he went to college, but he was also in a job placement program, to help kind of like recently graduating high school students earn, money for college. He joined the union at this processing. It was a corn processing plant that he worked at, but he joined the union and he met another activist named Bill Taylor, who was actually the leader of that union. But Bill, when he met young Fred Hampton, and he was like 18 or 19 at the time, he was very much impressed about, what he saw in Fred. Said he was dynamic, quick-witted, and much less focused on himself than the world around him, because he was always trying to bring Black people together. This is what Mr. Bill Taylor was saying. But there was a quote that Bill Taylor had said about Fred, which was rather interesting. He said that he remembered Fred telling him that if you walk through life and don't help anybody, you haven't had much of a life.
That is true. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, let me repeat that. Fred told him that if you walk through life and don't help anybody, you haven't had much of a life. This is Fred Hampton at 18, 19 years old. Very, very reflective. So during that time, and I believe it was 66 when Fred was this young of an age, and going back to our conversation about Dr. King, remember Dr. King came to Chicago in 66. Well, young Fred Hampton did march with Dr. King during that time, because Dr. King also had a lot of activism on the West Side. So he marched with King, but after kind of like being involved in a protest where violent agitators kind of like attacked, their march at Jefferson Park, Fred kind of got, you know, he kind of got taken back about that whole thing because he told Dr. King that he couldn't continue to be nonviolent in the face of violent mobs. But despite the fact that he didn't agree with King on the nonviolence part, he still respected King. He still respected King. So after he dropped out of that, out of King's movement, he started kind of working with SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, where a young Stokely Carmichael was the head of that whole, was the head of that. However, working with SNCC, he ended up meeting because Stokely Carmichael ended up coming to Chicago, and Chairman Fred saw, Stokely and actually met Stokely and invited him to speak in Maywood. Now, the thing about Chairman Fred was that he organized a lot of protest in Maywood because he saw what the cops were doing to Black folks in that particular city, and also in Chicago, since Maywood was next door. But Chairman Fred also encouraged a lot of the Black residents in Maywood to come to Maywood board meetings to complain about the segregation that was going on, the intentional segregation that was basically going on in Maywood. In particular, he wanted the residents to kind of, he wanted the city of Maywood to open up a pool and a rec center for the residents, because when the Black folks had to go to other places for recreation like swimming, and most of the surrounding areas didn't allow Blacks to frequent their pools or anything like that. So there was a meeting that he had organized, like hundreds, probably thousands of Black folks at a Maywood meeting, and apparently the police were basically ready for them, and it eventually kind of turned violent in the end, because of the fact that the police actually had an eye on Chairman Fred during that time, even though he was only 19 years old at the time, but yet he was organizing hundreds and thousands of Blacks, um, you know, for their rights. And it was during that time that Chairman Fred got the attention of the FBI. And what's strange about it is that the FBI, um, keeping a tab on him when he was 19, he became the subject of a lot of conversation within uh, the intelligence community, because when with the COINTELPRO program that was going on. And for those who don't know, COINTELPRO was the counterintelligence program that the FBI used to suppress. Originally, it was to suppress communist activities in the early 20th century, but then the focus started shifting to Black nationalists and Black radicalists, as the FBI would call them. And the guy that was heading this was J. Edgar Hoover, who was the creator
Mhm.
of the modern day FBI. And so what they did was there was a memo that went out from Hoover's office that basically wanted people to keep an eye on a particular Black leader who might mobilize the masses. Now, the FBI had basically kind of like a metric called the Key Agitator Index, where apparently a young Fred Hampton scored high on. So that's why they started keeping a file on him at a very, very young age. But as as Chairman Fred started to progress in his activism, he met in '68 when he met Stokely Carmichael and H. Rap Brown. Both of them were considering joining the newly formed Black Panther Party, which was already formed on the West Coast. So Stokely was very much impressed with Chairman Fred, and another person who we might know as Congressman Bobby Rush, but back in those days, he was Black Panther Bobby Rush. So Bobby Rush, H. Rap Brown, and Stokely Carmichael went to go meet with the Central Committee of the National Black Panther Party, which was ran by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals, to open up a chapter in Chicago. And Rush, the first person that Bobby Rush recruited was Fred Hampton, who he wanted to lead that particular chapter, actually in Chicago. So November 1968, the Black Panther Party of the Illinois opened up an office in Chicago, with Chairman Fred being basically the chairman of the party, but he was also the deputy chairman of the national organization as well. So this is all before his 20th birthday. Now I keep saying this because I'll get to my point, when I kind of like finish up with this opening introduction, but when he started the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, obviously the breakfast program, he initiated, even though, like I said, he initiated a breakfast program when he was 10. But what was interesting was there was actually a delay of the breakfast program because of the fact that apparently the food that was housed in a particular church was somehow, and many people say it was the Chicago Police Department, but somehow was basically raided, and the food was basically smashed up, and some say was actually urinated on. So they had to go buy some more food and open up the breakfast program, which came later. But at that point, they still opened up the breakfast program. The one thing Chairman Fred stressed: political education. This is where his importance comes in, because the thing with Chairman Fred was he never wanted to initiate any programs unless it had a political education component. He always felt like political education was a must, or was the important aspect of revolution, because he always said that if the masses of people didn't have political education, then the revolution would eventually fail, because whoever's leading the revolution ends up becoming the dictator, and they don't know. It's like they ask certain people to lead, but then at this point, if they're not politically educated, then they don't realize that this guy who is leading them in the revolution, and he uses references to, like, say, Papa Doc Duvalier in Haiti. For those who don't know, Papa Doc was the president of Haiti for roughly, I think, 30 years. Now, Papa Doc was very much a Black nationalist, but he was also a dictator in Haiti. So he often references, Papa Doc, because of the fact that, he hated white people, but at the same time, he's also oppressing his own people in Haiti. So he's according to Fred, Chairman Fred, he's no better than, the white people who oppress you. But political education was always something that Chairman Fred stressed. Armed resistance. Now, when you say armed resistance, we're talking about armed resistance to any aggression. Chairman Fred never ordered hits. He never ordered, any of the Black Panthers to go out and shoot folks. But he always stressed armed resistance. If they attack you, then you attack them back with the same amount of force. Just like, with the philosophy of Malcolm X. Malcolm X was always like, we won't be violent with you unless you're violent with us. So this is the split that he had with Dr. King, because he didn't believe that nonviolence shouldn't be a way of life, especially in those times. Now, the important legacy of Fred Hampton was his ability to organize grassroots and street organizations. So Chairman Fred started off organizing with, and we mentioned him in our daily section, David Barksdale, who was the leader of the Black Disciples. Him and Chairman Fred and Barksdale had an agreement to work together, and Chairman Fred was able to recruit people for the Black Panther Party in areas that David Barksdale controlled. Now, during that time, there was also a high-level street leader named Jeff Fort, who was the leader of the Black Pea Stone Nation. Now, Ford and Hampton didn't exactly come to an agreement with who's going to, join what organization, because Ford was very much staunch about the Black Panthers joining the Black Pea Stone Rangers, and Chairman Fred, felt like his organization was separate from that. However, they did mutually respect each other. So even though they couldn't come to an agreement, there was mutual respect there. And apparently the FBI and COINTELPRO tried to drive a wedge between Jeff and Chairman Fred. However, it didn't work, because what happened was an anonymous letter was sent to Jeff Fort about the Black Panthers activities, and apparently, quote unquote, they were planning to assassinate Jeff Fort and take over his territory. Well, luckily, Fort had more sense to know that that letter came from the FBI, and nothing really happened between the Black Pea Stone Rangers and the Black Panthers. So Chairman Fred's ability to organize those gangs, those street organizations, along with several other organizations of different ethnic backgrounds. When you're talking about the Young Lords, which was a Latino street organization, the Brown Berets, which was basically kind of like a Chicano military or militia, and then you had him organizing with the Young Patriots, who was a bunch of Appalachian whites who basically had the Confederate flag as their symbol. Now, people kind of scratch their heads on, like, why is Chairman Fred organizing with those type of people? But he understood that when you're talking about the poor whites were in the same group as basically a lot of Black folks, brown folks, red folks. So him organizing with these different ethnicities, and actually them agreeing to be a coalition, was very much troubling for the FBI, because when they started seeing him organizing with these different organizations, it sent a red flag, to Hoover and the FBI and also the Chicago Police Department, that this guy can rally these different organizations with the Black Panthers. Now, Chairman Fred came up with the term the Rainbow Coalition. Now, many people would attribute that to Jesse Jackson, but it was Fred Hampton who coined that phrase first, and Jesse Jackson later on basically benefited or profited from that particular term. So Chairman Fred's ability to organize on that level was superior to a lot of organizers during that time, before and after. And it basically kind of made him a threat that he can do stuff like that, including being a great speaker, being a great mobilizer, and having all the support, and actually kind of creating the Black Panther Party within the Chicagoland area, made him a threat to the establishment. I'll pause here and see if Big Mike or you have any questions.
Thank you for that intro. Like the history of Fred Hampton, and I always go back to the Rainbow Coalition part. I thought Jesse Jackson did create that. And Big Mike, welcome. Welcome. We got Big Mike. He had technical difficulties earlier, and I know he has a lot of input on this on Fred Hampton and his legacy.
Excuse me. Thanks for having me on the show. And God, it's just great to put a face with a name. Feel like you got a library behind you, like you're well educated. I really appreciate you sharing the wisdom. And thanks, Burke, for allowing me to be on such a wonderful YouTube channel. I've always enjoyed your work, and I like the channel, so I like the video. Um,
Thank you.
my question, I really came with a question because I always wanted to know why did they kill Fred Hampton? Why and how and to an extent, how was the state's attorney, Cook County State's attorney at the time? I forgot his name. I know it started with an H though.
Hanrahan.
Yeah.
Hanrahan. Mm-hmm.
I heard that Fred Hampton's, not heard. I read Fred Hampton's murder basically tanked his political career. Can you explain more about that? And also I'm a student of you, so I've always enjoyed hearing you speak. So I'm you're like an open book.
Well, obviously, like people before me, I'm a student of history as well, and I've listened to various historians, which includes my father, which includes one of my uncles, which includes many popular historians, which includes, living and dead, Dr. John Henry Clark, uh, Dr. Gerald Horn, Dr. Greg Carr. I love listening to them just speak all day, talking about history and what it means and how it affects, modern day times. So I stand on the shoulders of many giants. But in reference to Hanrahan, so Hanrahan basically was elected the state's attorney, through a lot of the black vote. And the black vote basically kind of pushed him in because obviously Hanrahan being part of the Daily machine, because during that time Daily also had control of the black vote, because obviously you didn't have strong political candidates. I mean, you had Will Dawson, but he wasn't big enough to challenge the Daily machine during that time. We don't, just like we were talking about in our conversation with Harold Washington, we don't get to a point where Black Chicago politics started to get together until like maybe 20 years after the death of Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. But going into 1969, now Chairman Fred has the Black Panther Party in Chicago up and running. Another thing that what they started to notice too was, and so I always call Fred Hampton the most dangerous Black Panther of them all, because if you notice, most of the Panthers, the police in different areas did kill a lot of Black Panthers, but when Fred Hampton was assassinated, he was 21 years old. Now think about that. 21 years old, with all that knowledge, with all this activism, with all that he organized and mobilized. 21 years old. Think about what you were doing at 21. I wasn't doing that. I was trying to get past school, trying to holler at chicks, trying basically, trying to make my way, into adulthood during that time. This dude was doing grown man things at 21, things that I didn't start doing until I was like 40 something. So it's amazing how a young man like that can be so much of a threat at a very, very young age because of the fact that, like I said, he was intelligent and he didn't get caught up in a lot of the things that young Black men would get caught up in, like drugs and drinking and stuff like that. Because Chairman Fred never did anything like that. He was more about the people. He spent his time listening to people like Dr. King and Malcolm X, working on his speeches, because of the fact that he understood that Malcolm and Martin were the two best speakers that he heard, and he would just listen to tapes of them to kind of get tips on how to speak to people. And this is why he became a great speaker, listening to those people. But politically, he also read a lot of Marxist, Leninist material, Mao Zedong in China, and a lot of communist and socialist type of aspects of it, because he felt like one of the eroding things in this country is capitalism, and not just about money, because when people think about capitalism, it's not just about, for the love of money, but just basically the devaluing of human life, which he felt like racism fed off of that. It fed off of capitalism, because they kind of go, racism and capitalism kind of goes hand in hand. So, him organizing the Black Panther Party, because the Black Panthers was also kind of like on that socialist leaning type of politics. So what differentiated him and, say, the other Black Panthers, especially the ones on the West Coast, was he was one of the first Chicago was one of the first chapters where they did elevate women to kind of prominent roles, or roles that they weren't just regulated to just cooking breakfast. Because one of the important aspects of Chairman Fred's thing was he felt that women were necessary for the revolution. Now, many historians and many people who were in the Black Panther Party didn't feel women needed to be up front. But Chairman Fred had a different ideology. So he was one of the first to kind of give women key roles within the organization outside of just cooking. So when you think about his rise in the party, not just in Chicago, but nationally, he became a danger. So when 69 comes around, in April of 69, Chairman Fred is charged with, robbing an ice cream truck, and he basically was sentenced to 2 to 3 years in prison for robbery and assault. Now, his attorney Jeffrey Haas basically filed appeals on his behalf, but also during that time, for the rest of 69, the FBI and the Chicago police started raiding Black Panther offices, where they ended up having shootouts with the Chicago Police Department. And from many perspectives, especially from the Black Panther perspective, many of them were unprovoked. Like, the Chicago police would go to these offices and just start shooting. So and just like I said, the Black Panthers believed in self-defense, defense of their territory. So when you get to 69, there was a lot of aggression in the COINTELPRO process. FBI started raiding. FBI started arresting a lot of Black Panthers. FBI started killing a lot of Black Panthers. Chicago police doing the same thing. Then it all culminates up to December 4th, 1969. Now, here's the thing. So apparently, there were, quote unquote, serving an arrest warrant at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Kind of weird to serve an arrest warrant at 4:30 a.m. So they get to the place where Chairman Fred is staying at to serve the arrest warrant. Now, apparently, they have I think it wasn't called SWAT during that time, but it was basically police special units raid. Came to the place where Chairman Fred was at. Several Black Panthers was at as well, including
Wait, God.
huh?
Let me before I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Is it true that William O'Neill basically put something in his drink and was really was a spy with the FBI?
Yes, he was. So basically, during that time, and I was basically gonna get to that, but just kind of like framing the assassination. So the Chicago Police Department Special Unit came to the house where Fred Hampton and several other Black Panthers was at, and generally the Special Police Force came through, not with the standard sound or tear gas or anything, but they came with machine guns, 9mm, and just basically just ammo, just to kind of shoot their way in. So 90 shots were pummeled in the room where Chairman Fred was at, his fiance at the time, Deborah Johnson, who is now Akua and Jerry, and Mark Clark. Now, the thing was that Mark Clark was immediately killed in this whole incident. Luckily, Deborah Johnson survived and she was 8 months pregnant with Chairman Fred Jr., who revolutionary greetings to you, Chairman Fred Jr. But
you, my brother.
But she was pregnant with the young 8 months pregnant with Chairman Fred Jr. Now the thing was that Chairman Fred Sr. was actually still alive. Now according to Deborah Johnson, she basically said that she heard one of the cops basically saying that that he was still alive. And then next thing you know, she hears 2 shots and basically says, well, he's good and dead now. So he was actually still alive, and they basically shot him point blank range and basically kind of killed him. So going to your point, Big Mike, many people feel like O'Neill was one of the people who kind of gave the plans to the FBI office where Chairman Fred Sr. was at, and basically put something in his drink where he was kind of incapacitated, to a point where, he was kind of like in a deep sleep. So the assassination years of investigation, where Hanrahan basically claimed that, the Black Panthers were shooting at them first, where they found out that basically 1 shot came through the room out of self-defense, where 90 shots were basically coming in. So, Chairman Fred Jr., if I've said anything wrong, please correct me on this.
First and foremost, brother, revolutionary respect and greetings to you. Thank you for reaching out to me. I don't know. Can the guests hear me also? Still my greetings. It's just me and you on the panel, just us.
Yeah, I can hear you too, Chairman Fred. Nice to meet you, by the way.
My pleasure. Yes. We tag team with my brother. A few things. I just want. It's still the verdict is still out. Okay, definitely. Okay, we come to the conclusion that William O'Neill supplied the floor plan, but it was still some. O'Neill was one of the agent provocateurs that was exposed, and it's still, if you notice, like even we try to in the movie we felt it was kind of ambiguous on actually who put the Seconal, the knockout drug, inside the Kool-Aid of Chairman Fred the night prior, which we had. The second autopsy, the independent autopsy that was done, we had his body exhumed. It was discovered that there was enough Seconal to technically knock a horse out that they had placed inside the Kool-Aid the night prior. Also,
Horse out? Wow, that's insane.
technically knock a horse out, yeah.
Wow.
And we had also give you more details. The death the depthness of what the government went to. There's a group of young brothers who did unofficial security for Chairman Fred around the house, and they were sent out of town on a winter retreat prior to the assassination. People in the community told us they had cut all the lights off on majority of the west side of Chicago. They had blocked the entire block off. Law enforcement, they came in Illinois Bell phone trucks. Um, they came in immediately. They had immediately, the first casualty was a defense captain, Mara Clark, as my brother Carter just pointed out. But also, it was something we had to fight for historical, get the correct historical account, that it was a misnomer. That actually O'Neill was never Chairman Fred Security. He like that's something weird. Like if you go look at the movie, there's no scenes where it's just him and O'Neill's character and chairman just being by themselves. So that was something we had to do a lot of damage control on getting that correct. But you on point with everything, bro. I just want to add. I just want to tag team with you on that.
Yeah, and thanks for that, because you know me, I I had to reach out to Chairman Junior because of the fact that a lot of people out here like to spin the narrative on his dad.
Yes, yes, and I have utmost respect, and I appreciate you so much. You know what I'm saying? Because again, a lot of times people have the opportunity to reach out to us, and they don't, and the narrative is so important that and I'm not just talking about just in regards to this case, just with our people's history and the legacies. It's imperative that we cross those T's and dot the I's. I just got back from the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. And I knew about, the case prior to Rosa Parks. I knew about Claudette Colvin, who refused to give us, but I didn't know about Mary Louise Smith, who had done right after Claudette Colvin. So it's a constant battle. And a lot of times people may say, "Well, what's the big deal?" But it's important that we struggle to get them correct notes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. Anytime you talk, brother, I'm on deck. I'm on deck.
Yeah, cool. Now here's the thing, because I was telling the panel about how your father was targeted at an early age.
Yes.
He was very much targeted at an early age.
Yes.
And I wanted you to and if you don't mind, I wanted you to parallel your life, because look, they targeted you at an early age after they found out,
yes,
Chairman Fred Sr. had a son.
Yes.
And so talk about, some of the things that happened to you, because I remember a story about I think you were locked up unjustly at what was that, 66 and Racine, and they were putting I guess you and a couple of brothers was locked up, and they had a picture of your father trying to find out who was was shit. Talk about that.
It's ironic you mentioned that. I literally just got back in. I spoke at the school across the street. I'm at the Hampton house right now in Maywood, the childhood home of Chairman Fred, house he grew up in, which is in Maywood, right on 17th Avenue. And right across the street is the elementary school he attended, Irvin Elementary School. And I just spoke to a classroom over there, and I said I had this weird feeling whenever I go into the school. I'm back in my mind wondering, was this the room he was in? I had different thoughts, and I was actually mentioning that story to this group of some students, 11 to 12 years old, and as you mentioned, this kind of preface it. He was targeted as a youth, and in fact, one of his classmates has told me the story how she recalled when he went to go challenge the contradiction that there was no swimming pool facilities for Black children. She recalled how he got these sticks and branches and post cardboard, and they wouldn't protest it. And the police at the police station, the police that threw tear gas canisters out there. She said at 12 years old, she recalled him grabbing a live tear gas canister and throwing it right back in the police station at 12 years old. And he took the junior NAACP, about 7 to 300 members, about 7.5 month time period. The government recognizes organizing capabilities. In fact, when they called for a wiretap to be placed on my grandparents' home, this home right here, the DC Bureau of the FBI thought it was a typo. They say it's impossible. He can't be that young. So the fast forward some of my experiences. The one in particular what you're talking about, I recall inside the police station there was several of us, about 7 of us that had the same last name Hampton. And the younger police was asking which one is D Hampton, related to D Hampton. And I talk about it. I say, this ain't it's not like the Price is Right. People jumping on the car like you call my name, so it was quiet. And the older police had pulled out the file cabinet like a fresh photograph, and he put it next to our faces. And I was like the second or third person. He said, "This is your man right here." Even later after they don't.
Okay, we'll take a break. Go
Oh,
ahead,
no.
Chairman.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We lost the
Yeah,
sound.
yeah. I think he got a call. And you guys, let's make sure that we give Chairman Fred Jr. a warm welcome. We can't hear you yet, Chairman, or maybe he put us on mute. I'm not sure.
Okay. I think he. Yeah. I think he might have put us on mute.
Okay, okay. So he's probably handling business right now, so he put us on mute.
My back on, back on.
Yes, we hear you now, Chairman.
Okay, I had I had left off. Where did I leave off at?
The officer, he put the fresh picture next to your face of your
Right,
father. Hmm.
and said this is your man right here. And later on, I was one of the big case I was hit with was the trumped up charges of aggravated arson. This was post the Rodney King rebellions. After I feel and I think about it. I'm thinking about your daughter to school, and I told her Freedom Home Academy. I would tell this story about when I was locked up, and I would forget how it would remind how old I am. Like y'all Rodney King, but this after the semi valley verdict, non guilty verdict of the LAPD beating Rodney King, I was subsequently sentenced to 18 years. And during the quote unquote trial, they made it very clear why I was being locked up, who I was. And I mean, with such questions, aren't you Fred Hampton? Aren't you Chairman Fred Hampton Jr.? Don't you believe this? Didn't you author this? Didn't you write this article? And the duration of my time being locked up as a political prisoner, everything it's just ranging from my photograph and Chairman Fred's photograph being in the gun towers in the infamous Menard, the same Menard prison that he was at in 1969 and where I was at in 1999. And in fact, that's Menard prison that was depicted in the movie Judas the Black Messiah. So it was like, in fact, some fellow prisoners had issued me the moniker, the nickname as deja vu. They said, man, you've been there before. I mean, one situation where they told me, you know, Chairman was in the same gallery that you in now, same unit, and it went so far as to ask me what cell I was in. I said, well, let's take a breathe on this for a minute. It's kind of bring it too close to home, but a lot they recognize our potential. I look at cases, not only my case, in fact, Tupac, who my mother say, Tupac needed organization, and organization needed Tupac. So they study our bloodlines, our lineage, all that. And even before we know our potential, they know this system knows our potential.
Wow. Now, just to have that parallel, I'm a little stumped for words to have you here. Um, Big Mike, do you have any questions for
It's
Chairman
all
Fred?
in the words of Slide Family Stone or Arrested Development. We everyday people, so it's all good.
Well, I do have one question. About the childhood home in Maywood. Do you have it as a museum now, or
Yes. Matter of fact, we got in the campaign now to renovate it. We saved it. The banks was about to literally take the house. So we extend a clear fist salute to the people. They got in the back of them. I mean, it was a battle. We saved it. So now we're in the process of raising funds, resources to renovate it. But as we say, we walking and chewing gum at the same time.
Mhm.
While we working on it, our programs are still active right here. We have the community refrigerator, which is good 24 hours. People can get free food 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have the free books, the free clothing program. We operate our radio show. We do every Wednesday called Free 'em All Radio, hosted by myself and Lady of Rage. We have that here. We got we have events. Even though we still renovate.
Oh, we lost some.
Oh, I think he got another call.
Okay. Yeah, I know he's super busy. I want my next question was going to be it's pretty cool. I did not know about Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. and having the museum having the childhood home still. I was reading an article and planned a visit as well because Gardis, you brought it up where Fred Hampton Sr. mother
I'm back.
babysitted. Oh, you're back. You're back. Okay.
Uh,
All right, we hear you. Thank you so much. Um, I was just going to talk about no, I want you to finish talking about the you said you left off with your radio show and the books and the lunches. Still continuing the legacy, y'all.
yes, yes, and it's going to step. Like I said, it's a process. The free, we have a triple C program, Children, Community, and Cubs, which we got every Saturday. That's not only here, that's our chapters internationally, to San Denis, France, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Oakland, California. Saturday, outside is the refrigerator. People can get free food 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm trying to turn this around so you get a little inside what we're working with here as we
Oh,
speak.
great. I'm going to try to see if I can put you up a little bigger.
This is we're working on upstairs now. That's a big picture from the cast, Judas and the Black Messiah from the cast. This is some of the pictures we have here inside the Hampton House.
Wow.
Chairman Fred speaking. Chairman Fred speaking there. I just talked about this picture earlier right here. That's one of the war stories. I call them war stories and love stories. And some party. It was mandatory that you had to sell Panther papers. The members from the Black Panther Party, and some novice or new forces were saying that people not supporting, not buying the papers, and Chairman Fred just didn't talk it, he walked it. And this picture is him when he literally coming out there on the street corner of Madison in California, out there selling the papers himself. That's Chairman Fred right there, selling the papers himself on Madison, California.
Wow.
That's Community Information Center. I think that was in Philadelphia. That's the yard signs. This past year, which was as opposed, they had the Republican Democratic convention. We had the People's Convention this year. We had the yard signs, and our motto our theme for that was register for the fight for reparations, vote for victory, and struggle for self-determination. Again, so it's a work in progress. We still need volunteers. Field Marshal George Jackson, who was assassinated August 21st, 1971. Right, his younger brother Jonathan Jackson was assassinated August 7, 1970. That's Field Marshal George Jackson there. That's Jonathan Jackson in Marion County Courthouse, August 7, 1970. In fact, that's Jonathan Jackson right there. He was 17 years old when he was assassinated. That's the case that the government later on tied Angela Davis to, where they said that the government alleged the guns were supposed to be in her name. That's Deputy Minister Defense Bunchy Carter, who was assassinated along with Deputy Minister of Education John Huggins. This is the organization, the Black Panther Party Cubs. This is us in Oakland, California, on the 50th anniversary of the Black Panther Party.
Wow.
That's Chairman Fred doing the work. See Miss Barry doing the work. That's Chairman Fred. That's Chairman Fred's funeral. That's the Panther paper when the agent Vacatur, William O'Neill was there. Exposed. So it's a work in progress. This is the Black Panther Party on delegation of China. That's Deputy Minister of Health Ronald Doc Satchel. He's also my godfather. Out of the survivors, he got shot the most.
Mm.
Chairman Fred said, if you sick, don't go to Cook County Hospital. Go see Dr. Feelgood. So Deputy Minister of Health Ronald Doc Satchel, and he was shot the most. This is the attorney a lot of people don't know about. Don't give us credit. That's Attorney James D. Montgomery. That was my attorney. My mother's that was attorney on the case, James D. Montgomery. It's an interview on YouTube with us interviewing him. That's the survivors.
I've actually met James Montgomery. Really great guy.
Man,
Yeah.
a phenomenal, a genius, a phenomenal. He talks about when he seen Chairman Fred in court defend himself in court and make on a case before. Because actually, Chairman Fred was going to be a lawyer at first initially, but he gave that up. Yep. So that's just some of the. Oh, that's some more pictures there. So it's a work in progress. You know, we going step by step to get stuff together.
Chairman Fred, can we still donate to SaveTheHamptonHouse.org,
Yes,
or is it
yes,
something else?
please.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna
yeah,
put that.
please.
Berg,
Yeah,
I'm gonna put that in the chat.
okay, right on, right on, right
Please
on.
do. Please put where we can um reach and yes, please put that in there where we can
Yeah,
reach Chairman Fred Hampton and his movement.
yes. Save the Hampton House
Save the
dot
Hampton House.org.
org, and they can also cash out $ Save the Hampton House. But the website they hit the donate button on the Save the Hampton House. And I think we changed it to the Hampton House, but they can also write checks out to Save the Hampton House. Since the 804 South 17th Avenue, Maywood, Illinois, 60153. And I think we got a QR code. I can have it. I can forward it to you, my brother. I had that posted. And we do tours here also. We welcome you to come see, come to the Hampton House also. Oh, February 17th. I just got confirmation, which is Minister UEP Newton's birthday. Myself and David Newton, Minister UEP Newton's nephew, we'll be doing like an informal talking discussion here at the Hampton House. I don't know what time it is. I keep you updated with that also on the 17th.
Okay, Berg, can you read Chu's comment or question? She had a question for.
Absolutely. Yes. Choose has a she says, what advice do you have for communities to navigate the division and confusion, especially when I missed one. Okay. I'm sorry. Let me start. Let's start. I should have had you up, choose to ask. It says he mentioned narratives and agent provocateurs. How do agent provocateurs typically operate within social movements, and what key tactics do they use to disrupt or undermine legitimate activism?
Great question. Um, this system is extremely Machiavellian. It's like, so if you I mean I don't if you get to be you train your eye to look for them to come in a certain color shirt, they'll switch shirts. And it's like how they say the coronavirus, it's constantly adapting, morphs itself into different dynamics. But I'm gonna tell you some key things. Like you got, the agent provocateurs. um I'm gonna give you some actual examples that was exposed by William O'Neill, and which I've even witnessed with agent provocateurs. That's been sent in our organization in this day-to-day organizing. The term they refer to as gaslighting, where people come and they come and they try to put as they say in the streets, put the cables on you, and do a lot of what the Panthers call murder mouthing. Trying to engage your reactionary activities. Like William O'Neill would try to push for these. He was known to push for the design this electric chair, the fact that the test to see if there were any informants in the Black Panther Party. And it's a brother. I can't remember this brother's name. He actually, when Chairman Fred was in prison, was locked up. This individual, O'Neill, actually subjected him to that, to this design electric chair to see if he was in the form. All the time, O'Neill was in the form. And his brother's man, it's a lot of struggles he's going through right now. He was, I got to sit down with him, get that documented though. But gaslighting, creating division, and Chairman Fred he had one of his sayings, and I relate to it to this day. Half these, sometimes cats be agents, and some of them just be stupid. Chairman Fred said, by the time I figure out which one he is, I've been in the penitentiary, the graveyard. Sometimes it be nefarious, and sometimes it be naivety. But a climate, and I look back in my life, and I say these are reactionary times, but it's even now it's certain things that is like literally speaking now to like the last recent history, like it's certain things that people. I've been called some people now who are saying I thought you were paranoid. I can see this, the significance of what you said about the politics, so on and so forth, but there was a class piece for quite some time where people, I mean, had no acknowledgement of like assassinations or political prisoners. It's not to this day. A lot of people still don't. They grasp it like in a reactionary sense, or like even like when people hear word about the COINTELPRO, the counterinsurgency. A lot of people don't think that black people, black community in particular, is even worthy of that. They be like, "Yo, you crazy, you paranoid, we're not worthy. Why would the government watch us?" And that just even to get that across. I just did the funeral service for spoke to fallen comrade Chairman Cha Jimenez, founder and leadership of the Young Lords organization, and just talked to we just had some dialogue with his daughter again yesterday, and we at the funeral service, the one who played him and portrayed him in the movie, he sent a solidarity statement. But we went down memory lane, but just like even some of the, just growing up, saying growing up in the midst of and look at the underbelly of struggle. Because a lot of times people romanticize revolution. They see the leather jackets and berets, and oh, that's great. But like just even the economic hardships that Cha himself went through, how he was forced, to leave Chicago. I tell you, like, even with the Black Panther Party, it was there was no hot running water in that apartment that Chairman Fred and my mother lived in, and there's some of the brutal realities, and so the system would exploit those contradictions. They'll bring people around who has access to resources, you know, and that go back to the heart of the question. That, saying we have what we refer to as a party line, because our organization, we've been infiltrated. There's been Asian provocateurs. They done sent them at us, and they done came in pants, skirts, shorts, red shirts, blue shirts, whites, you name it. And it's constantly under attack, and they exploit weaknesses, with contradictions. They do psychological profiles. I'm getting it was some years back. This was post what it had to be during the Clinton administration. You're doing the Clinton administration, and there was this was right after Aristide was in it was they was moving Aristide out of Haiti, and an individual was being interviewed in the jail in Miami, Florida, and it was on 60 Minutes, and they was explaining to him, the CIA was explaining to him how long he had been on the payroll for the CIA, and he had no idea. They were showing him like it was a situation, it was internal struggles going on. I know a lot of people don't, like, and this is important to know, because a lot of times people say, well, the white, we got to stick together, black people don't want to stick together, but every community, every entity has internal contradictions. And there were internal contradictions going on within the U.S. imperialism. And the CIA was attempting to make Clinton look bad. And they had showed him the time when a lady had approached him, this guy, and I could call his name, and said, "Why aren't you the head speaker? You speak better than Aristide." And they stroked his ego. They stroked his ego, and they tapped into that deficiency, and they, what I'm saying, and they showed him another. They showed, and looking back in hindsight, it was so clear to him that he'd been working for them all the time. One time the ship was coming to the borders of Haiti, and they were showing him how all these people was behind him with this bullhorn, and he was hollering, "Yankee, go home!" And they built him up. They built him up, and it looked crazy, because like, why would these people even be following you? You know what I'm saying? But they gaslighted him, and these are, I say, like they complexes, they exploit them. You know what I'm saying? Contradictions. I say, like, to be clear who you are as with a structure, you know what I'm saying, lays out these are particular lanes and roles, because we all have our contradictions, we all have our deficiencies. But the deal with the system, that's one thing that the state has historically done. They had a psychological profile on William O'Neill. They knew his bloodline. They knew the similar characteristics with his father. A lot of people just even dismiss it to just that of money. They said, well, what about the $300 bonus he was issued? You know what I'm saying, for the money. But the deal is also you can look at the movie, look at it again. You can see was it Mitchell, Roy Mitchell, who was his special agent in charge, his contact person for the FBI,
His handler.
his handler. He
Yeah.
saw him as a father figure.
Mm.
He saw him as a father figure. And see, these are different dynamics that the system utilizes in the music industry, in our movements, in our community. You know what I'm saying? It's like even in the jungle, you know what I'm saying? When they go through, hit the silverback gorillas, you know what I'm saying? They the same poachers that kill the silverback gorilla or put that sanitized powdered milk inside that baby's mouth, and that baby gorilla identifies with, you know what I'm saying, with the same poacher. So one of America's policies is to create chaos and then restore order. Let me bear my soul with you. There's some events coming up now. I'm being requested to come speak at out of town because of the climate and not a lack of clarity of this not being represented, authentic representation of the Black Panther Party, the Black Panther Party Cubs. I can't go. You know, and it's a lot of times we think we can, like, in certain, like, we can afford the luxury in some cases to be vague or whatever, because the government was there to create organizations. You know, so they done it before. It was the Black Panther Party. Not only does not get credit for things it did, is given credit for a lot of things that it did not do. And a lot of people just say, well, I seen this person had on all black. I can't tell how many conversations I've been in. One time, a few years back, a young lady called me, she inboxed me on social media. Well, I donated some money to the Fred Hampton Gun Club. I said, that's not us. Well, I seen the name on there. Our people do not, again, a lot of organizations, a lot of people talk about struggle negating that dynamic of the counterinsurgency. You know, just say, well, if we do the right thing, we'd be all right. No, there is an ongoing war waged on us. And you know what I'm saying? It comes in, it attempt to co-op our legacies. We have cross some T's and dot the I's. I can't tell you how many organizations and entities have been literally created. I mean, then, before, in the present time. Yeah, a lot of times people engage in liberalism. We say, well, we all have the same agenda. We just do it a different way. No, that's one of the dynamics about structure. Like, like people, they hear Chairman Fred and say, was it ego tripping? No, there's checks and balances, accountability in our organization. We've been infiltrated where we able to say, wait, what cadre did this come from? What what is the structure? So you made a check and say, where did this come from? How did this error happen? This supposed we have an ambassador for international affairs. We have field marshals. These are different. It's not ego. This is structure. It's checks and balances. And our communities have been so destabilized that it's attractive. Oh, we don't need structure. We don't need to identify with that. The Black Panther Party Cubs. That we have an actual logo. You know what I'm saying? We have and their term party. This wasn't just a group of people just banding together. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, it was a structured organization checks about one issue. I recall this issue on the movie set. This is around the scene when O'Neill was trying to gaslight. You know what I'm saying? Try to the chairman and who's playing Rush, the Defense Rush's character. What's the brother? Oh man, my brother. I just talked to him recently. We still be in contact. The cat, the one who played him. But that scene right there, where Lakeith Stanfield, Daryl Britt Gibson's character, and Daniel Kaluuya's character, and Lakeith Stanfield, his character was portraying O'Neill, and he pulled away from the car. He pulled out a wire, and initially it was scripted that Chairman had just threw him out of the Black Panther Party. I said, no. That this checks and balances. This, it's not a dictatorship. You know what I'm saying? There's structure. There's, you had a central committee. You know what I'm saying? A protocol, rules, and so I recall that. You know what I'm saying? And so these are different dynamics that that people we have to struggle to view it. A lot of us don't believe that we even worthy of having that. So there's a definition. Like, you go to a restaurant, somebody say, no, this ain't the real. This don't come from that particular restaurant. That you go to get your car fixed. They pick out what's authentic, and we have to really struggle for that. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of times in our community, you would just say, well, all black people want the same thing, And I said we are guilty of speaking French too much at the wrong time, saying we all want the same thing. And it's nothing bad with structure. It's nothing to acknowledge this to say, no, this is this is that. You know what I'm saying? And say, no, there's a definition for the Black Panther Party. I recall the scene with Danny Cooley was walking up the stairs. I remember sitting downstairs. I said, one more time. One more time. I said, did that Panther walk? I got to feel it. Give me that Panther walk. It's a certain dynamic to it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. We got one more question. Choose Compassion said, and thank you again, Chairman. Thank you so much. Um, she had one. I'm so sorry, Choose. I'm missing your. What advice would you have for communities to navigate the division and confusion, especially when misinformation spreads?
Well, don't welcome it. I mean, don't. I know in the ideal world, and I struggle with people with it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we want to keep sweeping on the rug and have this rose-colored lenses. You know what I'm saying? And don't not acknowledge it. I study the Black Panther Party, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I use the analogy like in a relationship. If someone say, "Well, I don't know if this person snores or not." You know what I'm saying? I just want to hit the good part. And so you really don't know that. I'm confident with our people. And I talk about our people. Some people say, "Oh man, you naive. You don't think." No, I study us, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we need to know that us under contested conditions. And you know what I'm saying, and you gotta face it, you know what I'm saying, acknowledge it, and not prematurely, because I mean, even with new forces with us, there are certain books I say, new people can't read certain books, and they say why? Because like if you come in, your bones haven't get strong. You know what I'm saying? You can get demoralized. You come in too quick and like, I know that people's betraying people, and it can demoralize you. But there are certain we must acknowledge it, and put a struggle to put stuff in when you organize it. Struggle. I mean, I know it can you can come with this romanticism, like, oh, we all come together. Like when people talk about the Rainbow Coalition, it's like this. I said, no, it wasn't this big kumbaya. We all just love each other. There was some contradictions, serious contradictions. When Chairman Fred authored that, I mean, you had the Young Patriots. They were so reactionary. They were wearing Confederate flags in their jackets. Let the record reflect that. Let's be clear on that. The Young Lords was the cha-cha. They were a street gang. See, it's like Tupac said, the rose that grew from concrete. Put it in this context. Put things in context of time. What was going on? Like even in the '60s. I mean, back then everybody was wearing afros. We love you, my brother. No, there was some contradictions. There was I mean, you had a class piece with Kennedy when Nixon came in. They campaigned for law and order. You had you look at the development of stages. There was a conscious level the ante was up. Where you seen the devil disciples get on public. So we now rely on something known as the black disciples. Chairman Frey has to get to work the free breakfast program. The vice lords, after the government the FBI told the vice lords they get up 16th Street if they could not open a free medical center on 16th Street. Chairman Frey warned them to certain points of political unity. They subsequently worked at the free medical center. But these things just didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? There was some struggles and contradictions that had to go down. It wasn't just, you know what I'm saying? And so you approach it with that, you know what I'm saying? Don't struggle against those rose-colored glasses, you know what I'm saying? Because you'll come in, you want this beautiful world. So there's some sticky realities, you know what I'm saying? It's some betrayal, it's some cutthroat. It comes with it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But our people, the pros are with the cons. The pros are with the cons. But get that political garlic on your neck. You know what I'm saying? But still, brace yourself. Brace yourself.
Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., may I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you go through? I know you're junior, you were born into this path, but did you feel like you had a choice? Was this something you wanted to do, go straight into activist work, like to keep with your dad's legacy? Or how was it for you to decide if you want to choose this path or not? Was your mom supportive of it?
I was like many of my contemporaries, my colleagues, we were deprived of ability to actually sum up what happened. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What happened to the movement? You know what I'm saying? And I always had a love and admiration of basically us to say, man, I dig that. I had a and they love, but I wasn't really able to politically sum it up. You know, so I tell people, like, even I recall speaking, and I was embarrassed. I moved my hands, I hold my hands down, and then I seen Chairman Fred speak. I said, "Oh, okay, this what they do. This how it's supposed to go." I grew up in a city where not only the names, not only a lot of things did not change, but in many cases the names did not change. I was, you know, I was commenting to a sister the other day. I said, you know, even electoral politics, things that people take for granted. I say, you know, even, you know what I'm saying, have a black mayor. I said, I grew up at a time where people thought the term mayor actually meant daily. The word mayor was synonymous with mayor daily. They thought that's what they thought it meant. And ironically, one of the individuals who led the case that got me locked up was a Sergeant Joseph P. Grubezek. He was actually involved in the surveillance and subsequent assassination on Chairman Fred and the 5th of Lamar Clark. So my adversaries and my, you know, and my allies, it really helped group, like, push me, like, to guide me. You know what I'm saying? Been in the same prisons, a lot of these same conditions, and so I guess it's a combination to meet you. It kind of helped, like, it chose me. Like, this is, I seen the pictures of him assassinated. I know the heat that come with it. I never romanticized it. I tell this story about this guy named Scotty, and I know he probably gonna hear. He said, "Why you still talking about this, man?" This guy was telling people. I think I was about 14, 13, telling people he was he was Chairman Fred's son. And his sister had told me. I said, "What?" So I tracked him down. You know, I said, "You telling me? I said, you say you Chairman Fred Hampton's son?" He said, "My brother, I am Honorable Elijah Muhammad's son. I'm Chief Malik's son. I'm Chairman Larry Hoover's son." I said, brother. I'm saying, who did your mother have a relationship with? That's what I'm asking, man. And then I say, I was hoping that I had a sibling, so you can take half of this heat that come with this name. You know what I'm saying? I don't say it's the pressure that come with it. You know, the law enforcement still shoot Chairman Fred Tombstone up in Haynesville, Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? We put a bulletproof casing around it about 4 years ago,
Oh my
but
God.
the
Yeah.
conditions help bring me to the point. What they say in church, which this show calling, you know what I'm saying? This is my calling. And I said at the funeral service, the repast of Stanley Tookie Williams, co-founder of the Crips. I said, I I want to fight for a climate where our only options in life is not to become just either a Boy Scout or a banker. That, you know what I'm saying, that the Cubs is an option for us, you know. And like I said, I feel fortunate, you know what I'm saying, to be, you know, to be able to not only attempt to walk in their footsteps, but their Panther Paw steps.
Wow. Thank you. Okay, I'll let Gardis take it away. Like I said, I'm
Well, Big Mike, did you have anything to ask the chairman?
yeah.
Um, I apologize. I missed a lot of what he was saying because I had a lot of tech issues on my end. I'll have to go back and like watch the replay. I probably gonna have questions after that. But yeah, I had a lot of tech issues. I could barely hear what all was discussed. But my apologies. But I'm sure there's a lot of good nuggets in there, and I would have had questions on it.
You know,
Well, Chairman, you know, I wanted to ask you this because I know terminology is your thing. You know, you always say it ain't prisons, it's concentration
yeah,
camps and
yeah,
various things.
yeah,
Now, you probably know just recently the passing of Neely Fuller Jr., who
yeah,
also used terminology a lot because words are important.
yes.
And so, explain why you feel, you know, words are important in, you know, in this struggle.
Let me preface with Clint Fitzluke in regards to I'm trying to find this cord to throw the phone on the charger to. The transition to Nitty Fuji Jr. Clint Fitzluke. Um, 1 second, let me get this charger on here real quick. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. We at? That charger go. Okay, there you go. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. You know, some years back, it was a big discussion where hip hop phenomenon Jay Z who happened to be born December 4th, 1969. He had referenced. He said in the song called "Murders to Excellence" with Kanye West. He said, "I arrived the same day Fred Hampton died." we had raised this issue. A lot of people were very critical of me, like, Chairman, you making a big thing out of nothing. You schematics. What's the big deal? I was saying, no, Chairman Fred was assassinated. Defense of Lamar Clark was assassinated, and this, and also, I was kind of concerned with the way it was, like the legacy, like it was kind of saying the way, like the lineage, like this is the way. Because a lot of times, we hear different stuff, like, especially in that particular time, and specifically, kind of seem like so you got to keep in mind with the vacuum of revolutionary moves and movements. People were open to just reassess certain statements and certain individuals. Like, you hear cats on, saying, you hear cats be hustling, selling drugs, say, well, Malcolm X said, but I mean necessary. They would take it was like, our struggle was subjected to a lot of sacrilege. I'm gonna say that. Our struggle has been subjected to a lot of sacrilege. Things that you would say and do to, what I'm saying? And in defense of some of these individuals, they had never had to go to church with us. They had never seen the 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 seriousness of the sacrifice of that. You know what I'm saying? And they can see in other communities. You know what I'm saying? People can relate to seeing Whoopi Goldberg being chastised and criticized, or just saying the wrong word in reference to Nazi Germany. You know, but those terms, our people, is again the seriousness of it, the word, the term. I remember this interview. That I watched with William Shatner, fame from Star Trek, Captain Kirk. He's interviewing Jerry Springer, and I don't know what age range we got on here, but I think Jerry Springer was known for before all the different shows, the Housewives shows, and the whole, whew, man, just
The host specializes in reality shows. So she
yeah,
knows who Jerry Springer is.
he was
Yeah.
breaking ice today, yeah. And Jerry Springer had said something on the interview that he talking about in Nazi Germany. His grandmother had told him that before they came to the gas chambers, they had they would make fun and make jokes uh about their people. And he said his grandmother told him, you always be cautious of how people make jokes about your people. I said, whoa. I said, imagine that. This Jerry Springer saying this. I said, imagine that. The terms we use, you know what I'm saying? Again, and I'm in my race, back to the situation with Jay-Z, and a lot of people are very critical of me, but you listen to the soundtrack on this, Judas and Black Messiah, the soundtrack, and you listen to words of Jay-Z said, man, he said, murder, he said, excuse me, assassinated. That's, see, when you these terms, I mean, it impact you, it puts stuff in historical context. Why you think, look at how even how Trump, in regards to those, in the January 6th situation at the Capitol, Trump continuously, all throughout the situation, he always said, he referred to them as hostages, political prisoners. He was saying, and not it'll go past, but you know saying, the terms, it sets the stage for those moves. You know what I'm saying? So he never, always, even was not popular. You go back and rewind it. You know what I'm saying? Those terms, like even our people in our communities, as opposed to saying that dope fiends and strawberries are hype, demoralized. And see, in warfare, you look at situations like um, Somalia. The U.S. did the whole campaign referring to them as the skinnies. You know what I'm saying? And these are people, but they become dehumanized with that. I remember an interview that Minister Huey was being interviewed, and the reporter kept saying the VCs, and he never responded. And they said, talking about Vietnam. He said, are you talking about the Vietnamese people? And I said, wow, you know what I'm saying? And see, the terms that we use and how we relate to it, we say December the 4th, what happened December the 4th, that's one of our ground zeros. That's when two of our twin towers, quote unquote, fell. We have the African Anti-Terrorism Bill. We say fentanyl, crack, that's chemical biological warfare waged on us. And we have to, so we have to struggle to put this in, open the door. We say, we're the victim of terrorism fund for our people. You know what I'm saying? When someone is locked up, what's not their bond, what's their ransom? And to put this correct political context, even that, like even in defeat, people look at it different. Like, whoa, somebody was assassinated. You know what I'm saying? The Panther Party had rules. You cannot, rules. You cannot steal one piece of needle or thread from the people. Now it's a different discussion about people liberating, freeing up stolen resources from the ruling class. That's from the stores. That's a different discussion. But you got the politics of terms. You able not like you able to like that's why they take laws like stand your ground. The system will take and flip it and say, okay, here you go, no cash bond. But how it's said, when it's said, your tone, all that is political. It's political.
Wow. Okay. The terminology is important, and sometimes we don't even think about that. Um, Goddess, you have another question? I had a question about preserving, and just to say thank you, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. I was not prepared. You can see I'm a little stumped. I was excited to talk, and just to have you here is such a blessing. Thank you so much. And thank you. I want to say thanks for preserving, like you going around the house and showing everything there. You're preserving the Black history itself, but the Black Panther Party. Thanks for telling us how to get involved. Thanks for your grassroots organizing. I just had to write some notes down. And I want to, and Choose Compassion had said, thank you for answering the question. She was wondering how your family felt about the Jay-Z reference. So thank you for answering that question.
Right on.
This is awesome.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. We always wonder, what would happen if, Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. had lived. Well, he's living within his son right now.
Yes, he is.
And that's the whole thing. He's holding up his legacy, and there are many activists out there that we know about because the media pushes them out there. But I know for the longest time, people knew Chairman Fred Jr. by name, but they never saw him on TV for a long time, even though he's been out there doing the work for 30 years or so,
Yeah.
But, it's so funny. His popularity started coming when you started seeing him with Dave Chappelle and the rappers. And then, he's on the set of Judas and the Black Messiah, and now all of a sudden, but this man has been doing work for years, and actually went to jail for doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny how many people look towards certain people that's on TV, but then again, because I think I remember you talked about this, Chairman, about how you be at certain situations protesting about police brutality, and the cameras would go away from you.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even come to you. You know?
It got to the point that it got mandated with our coalition. Say, Chairman, you got to always have some on your shirt because they're gonna go away from you, because it hit us one time. It was a documentary about long-held political prisoner Mumia Abu Jamal, and they had all these people who speaking, who were not even from the community involved in the campaign. And then you looked at it, it was a glance. The bottom of my shirt it had the Cub logo, and it's Chairman, you gotta make sure you be on point, because and it's not that we look for attention, but we like this term called, we like to say real models as opposed to role models. Well, our people can relate that, no, I can be involved in this. People say that, like everyday people. It's intentional. They tell us, well, no, you don't know what an amicus brief is. You don't know this legal term. You can't be involved in the case. Or no, you don't know. You and this is a different address you have marked on this paper. The everyday people, you know what I'm saying? They can. People say, well, I'm waiting till I get myself together first. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have no. You have to be be the smartest person. Recognize it's wrong. Something wrong with this system. Your son daughter, you shot 14, 15 times. You know what I'm saying? You got to say, man, I'm gonna address this. And like Stephen Biko of the Black Conscious Movement has said, Black people in particular must grasp the ability to distinguish intelligence from the ability to articulate. We must grasp the ability to distinguish intelligence from the ability to articulate. You know, the masses of people, we, you know, very, very intelligent. They know that they reckon, you know, the real deal. You know what I'm saying, from BS, but they'll send a lot of times, they'll send people in like some intellectual monkeys that come in, throw a bunch of words and terms, and you get confused. Chairman Fred gives the example of these sisters in front of the free breakfast program. And the police pull up on and say, hey, are y'all for capitalism? Sister said, no, Chairman Fred said he ain't cool, they ain't cool. Okay, what about socialism? Sister said, you know what, I can't debate. I don't know, we don't know different. And the police said, well, what about this free breakfast program? Sister said, hey, that's what feed our babies. And you tell them mess with that, we'll blow your brains out. That's our thing. That's what's happening. So the people are very intelligent.
Mm.
Hmm. Thank you for saying that, because yeah, sometimes a lot of words go out there and it's nothing grasp. We're not even picking it up. I
Yeah.
have a I have a another question. Like, how do you inspire like the new generation? Do you have a lot of people coming to you and saying, Chairman, I want to be an activist like you. I want to get in. How do you lead from there? Like, are you a you do you help with that as well? How do you know who to trust and to bring it to the circle to teach them more about what you have going on at the Hampton House?
It's tug and pull. You know, you gotta. You know, this is no attack or no slight on this on younger generations. You know, a lot of times, you gotta take into account what you're dealing with. I recall on the movie set, I said, I don't know if this generation gonna be able to catch the significance of a free breakfast program. And they said, why you say that? I said, they got Uber Eats, they got Grubhub, you know what I'm saying? And so certain things that the timing gotta be right. But I know on the plant, and then there's certain forces that surprise me. I plant certain seeds and certain that come back and it'll hit home. Um, you gotta always assess your climate, your time, but also recognize, the stakes are high. And you pick your moves. I'm able. You got to deal in degrees. I mentioned I was a political prisoner. That if I got caught passing any paperwork, any information to the prisons, I'll be placed in isolation. And it was a big issue one time. The brothers was like, "Why you give it to this brother but don't get the other brother?" And I said, I see the potential with him. I say I'm playing. I say I gotta make it count. I gotta make it count.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? And it's Richard Pryor used Richard Pryor this term. He say he's a peopleologist. I like that. A peopleologist. You gotta be a peopleologist. You gotta be a peopleologist. You gotta study the people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when I walk in the room, I gotta be able to feel it. You know what I'm saying? I see some potential. Either they don't know their own potential. And you know what I'm saying? And I and you try to see people in different contest conditions. A lot of times people will say, "Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that," and like they like the discipline. I'm in lost forces who good forces. You know what I'm saying? They just I mean, you name it. Not to just they relationship issues. Their parents don't want them to be around this. I mean, you name it. So you try to find different points of unity that people can role that they can play.
wow. Thank you so much, Chairman. I cannot wait to come visit the Hampton House.
We open door policy. The door's open.
Wow.
I do got a question. Do you work with Frank Chapman by chance? The Chicago Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression.
We have principal coalition. I just stopped by Frank Chapman's office a week and a half ago. In fact, just reminded me. There's the Guardian doing this. That's doing a piece. It initially started out with the children of Panthers and other movements, but they came, they covered us, and they stopped by Frank Chapman's office over there. Touched down with him. Respect, and I missed his. I missed. He just had an event and excuse me, acknowledging he was out being released 27 years. I was not able to make that bill. Said, but much respect to Frank Chapman. Much respect.
Oh,
They just
okay.
they just sorry about that.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
They just lost Mike Sweevy Elliott 2 years ago. I don't know if you know who that is.
And name's familiar to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they just lost him.
Wow. And name's sound familiar to me. I'm just yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Condolences. Yeah, I know the name. Yeah, yeah. No, I just got the phone a minute ago and I was said no gan no gan I got there were two losses out in the community this morning. Um, Can't take no day for granted, nobody for granted. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Chairman, I mean, I've heard you speak several times, and I wanted you to talk about, we're going on words, because I remember one time you was talking about the difference between warfare and revolution.
Mm.
Can you explain for the audience, how you break down those two terms?
Yes. Well, you hear about war, especially I mean, you're gonna, there's in this time the term people are hearing a lot more because it's being acknowledged, though the U.S. is like, I tell you, it's like they like bad luggage. Once they go places like the Philippines, Africa, they still be there, but it'd be like these and a lot of people be surprised in certain periods, like, what, I didn't know this was going on. The Ukraine and Russia was dig deeper. I mean, it's war. Like war, different countries fighting amongst each other, but a revolution. You got the revolution, as Malcolm says, is a complete change. You're fighting for the masses, hearts of the people. I was, and it's we say complete change, not just the obvious aspects of just you see the mechanics of it, the fighting. I'm going through. It's an event I'm supposed to be speaking at, and I was like, I'm biting my tongue because I say it's like a battle. They couldn't even say chairman on the flyer, and I was like, it's I say a lot of people have no frame of reference of what I'm saying. Like I said, the titles, the term, because see, you can most like when you have a reactionary assessment, you like we just fighting to be fighting. You know what I'm saying? No, it's a like the politics of it. You're fighting is coming down to Ernesto Che Guevara said of the Cuban Revolution. We're fighting for the new man. I'm gonna paraphrase the new man, new woman. You know what I'm saying? Because the deal is we're not. We're not talking about saying challenging colonialism with neo-colonialism. You know what I'm saying? The whole dynamic of it is the cleansing process of how we view ourselves. A lot of people hear me say revolutionary love. They be like, what that mean? It's a difference. It's a love under contested conditions. You know what I'm saying? I tell people when struggle is happening, you can go back and like people talking about these times right now. I say you go back and look at some of them videos in Milwaukee and Ferguson when the uprisings are happening. Look in the background. It's a different sort of dynamic. Look back in the late '60s. Listen to the music. It's a different. It's a different sort of music. This is a revolutionary period. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to one thing that had the wars, the fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at them different. Like even Chicago, it was known for the structure of the street organizations. They internalized it. I mean, it surpassed just even with them wearing their respective colors. How they move, how they greeted each other, all of that. You know, it's like I was telling some youngsters one time. I say it was intentionally that you had these youngsters saying call themselves gangs. They say, "Well, I'm gang." I say those are fighting words. I say, you go look at old spray paint. You had nation, the Black Disciple Nation, Black Stone Nation, and you'll say the mindset. You'll say the '60s is a revolutionary period where the ante was up. It was you look at the old listen to the music, watch the movies, how they greet each other. That was a revolutionary period. We don't say it was, and it was not just the combatants, not just those who was fighting. How how people dealt with each other, how you viewed the world when you know what I'm saying, a different mindset, a relationship. It was different. Chairman Fred say the best dressed brother was one with a leather jacket and a 45. You know what I'm saying? It was involved in every aspect. You know what I'm saying? On a reversal, when they hit us, you know what I'm saying, with the drug economy, it wasn't just the ones who just was smoking crack. The whole, I mean, everyone was impacted. You know what I'm saying? We had a different dynamic. Grandparents had to raise the children. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole how we viewed each other. It was I remember this piece on one TV show, and the guy was locked up, and he was locked up. It was in Michigan. The lady was on a bridge, and she was demoralized. She had a drug habit. And what was only shocking how they were beating her on the bridge, but the way other cars rolled past. You know what I'm saying? It was like immune to it. They were just rolling past. And her mother said on TV, to you all, that was a strawberry or a hype. That was my daughter. That was my granddaughter's mother. I said, wow, you think about that. How we still paying the price for that. How we view each other. You know what I'm saying? Look at the coronavirus. it wasn't just the, like people talk about the physical aspects. It wasn't just that told. You have a different child that was born during that era. That a child growing, I guarantee you, you look at that child and you look at the difficulties about even have human touch to embrace each other. You know what I'm saying? Because that was they grew up in a climate where you couldn't touch it. You can have no human contact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's important when you talk about the relationship, because before you came on, I was talking about how your father, he worked with Dr. King, but he
Mhm.
couldn't get with the nonviolence as a way of life, but he still respected Dr. King,
Yeah.
even though he
Yes.
he
Yes.
didn't support the nonviolent stuff, but
Yes.
that's the whole thing, like you said, the contradictions.
Yes.
King,
Yes.
he still looked at King as a revolutionary figure, even though your father was going this way, King was going that way, but y'all still converting to a point where liberation, for the people. So I know what you're saying, because in these times of climate, it's like if you have a political difference, you have one political difference with somebody, then you the enemy, you the ops,
Oh, they
and
go.
and
This is
and it's not like
they
it's not like
it,
that like it was in the 60s.
oh, it's gonna get there. It's gonna cats people finna be forced to get together now. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna get more intense when you have to reassess. You know what I'm saying? You can't afford those luxuries. Like, well, I don't want to deal with this person. That person's a Virgo or a Capricorn or that person. No, these conditions. Oh, hey, if it's gonna force some unity. Yeah, yeah. And you look.
I hope you're right. I really
God,
hope you're right.
Marcus Garvey said, when all else fails to organize the people, the conditions will.
Very true. Oh wow.
Um, um, I gotta jump, but it was nice hearing from you, Chairman Fred Jr. Really great content. I want to visit the house stuff.
Come on with it.
Definitely got to make some time to do that. And obviously, it's been always a pleasure to be on the same show with Gardis. Gardis is like a walking encyclopedia.
Oh
I learned
man,
so
I
much
got
from
the utmost respect for this brother, his lineage, his daughter's family. I got the utmost, man. Yes, I was saying I gotta make a move myself though, man. I'm gonna say this.
him.
I go through. We all go through. Anybody on this battlefield go through battle fatigue. Believe me. But I have been, I'm telling you, they have sent agent provocateurs at me. There have been times I've wondered, I said, damn, is it worth it? We go through, but I mean, I am fortunate. I mean, I have come into contact, man, this brother, man, including I'm talking the people, I would turn it in for nothing. I'm talking about, man, I would change it for nothing. The exchange of information, the relationships, and you know what I'm saying. And I tell you don't see it directly, but believe me, what I've learned and what you're saying, the reciprocal relationships of people. Man, I'm honored and humble. I'm honored
Yeah,
and humble. You know, yeah.
we go back to the Freedom Home Academy days.
We go back, brother. We go, man. We to the free. I'm telling you, hey, that man. I'm flashing back in classrooms. You know what I'm saying, man? You're a child. The people. I mean, well, the people I've been again fortunate to interact with. You know, and I don't. No individual operates on the island of their own. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel. I'm fortunate that you know what I'm saying that long. It's in this long range relationships. I think back how we met, how far we and still here, and like I say it can be a long lapse of time, but they click right in, get right back on. People say the movie Judas and the Black Messiah. Somebody said I never seen the cast is still in contact with people. We just showed the movie Judas and the Black Messiah inside Fishkill Prison, and you know what I'm saying. And Daniel Kaluuya and Shaka King. Then we just showed inside Utah prison. I just seen the pictures posted on Facebook. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. It's ongoing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what's interesting is, I hate these biographies and
Yeah.
situations that that based off real story,
Yeah.
telling the perspective of who the movie producer director is. But then when I found out you and your mama was consultants on this, then I
Man.
was like, okay, maybe I'll take this one
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah,
And it still had some contradictions in
yeah,
it
yeah,
that,
yeah,
I might,
yeah,
because I know you had
yeah,
fights with the director
yeah,
and the creative artists and stuff like
yes,
that. So
yeah,
when I found out that your family was consulting on it, I was like, okay,
yeah,
I'll take a look at it and see what's going on. And it
yeah.
wasn't a bad movie. It was.
It's the things that I learned about. I remember the scene, the kiss scene. Chairman Fred's character, Daniel Cooley and Dominique kissed, and I remember that I was like, okay, he should come up a little more. She should come a little approach. I had found out later on. They said, Chairman, do you know it was a rule along Hollywood to never show our people in a loving scene? I said, wow. See, it's so many. I mean, it's so many different things that And I remember one scene we had to struggle when he first walked in and talked to the young patriots. Initially, the white guy playing preacher man was up on a pedestal with like a light behind him. I said, no, no. I said, that can't go. He can't be looking up at him like that. I said, no. So different things that we battled. You know what I'm saying? We ended up with a dream team. You know what I'm saying? No, and for the people, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, the greater good. Because the ministry of people, our people don't read as much as we like for them to read. So we better get we try to get that Panther Cub peel in the applesauce. Now I gotta roll out, y'all. They on my heels.
Hey,
Thank you
man,
so much.
thank you very much for doing this, man.
Now,
I
hey
really
Thank
brother,
appreciate
you.
it.
anytime. So I'm gonna see that QR code. You know, so y'all keep posting. Y'all come on to the Hampton House.
All
Thank
right,
you
man.
so much, Chairman. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you. Y'all
All
stay
right,
strong. Right on. Free them all.
free 'em all.
Free
Free
them
them
all.
all.
Free them all.
So what, Goddess? Thank you. I froze up. I froze up.
Hey, what what makes a great historian is getting what they call first source material.
Yes.
And when you mention doing something about Fred, the first thing I thought about was, let me contact Chairman Fred Jr. see if he wants to come on, because you notice I didn't say much.
Wow.
I might have talked, I might have talked before he got here, but then when he talked, I didn't say much, because that's the whole point of a student of history. You
Yeah.
let the first source historians talk, and that's why I do feel like I'm very versed in history, because I listen to people like him
Yeah.
talk about his father. If you want to know about Fred Hampton Sr., Chairman Fred Hampton Sr., go talk to his son. So,
And that's very strong. He has to be strong. I know he hears about his father all the time. That's his father. And people have different conversations about his father. And just to have Chairman Fred Hampton walk into the room at that time, it kind of I was like, wow, I wonder, he has to be super strong to be able to handle that day in, day out.
well,
And
also Chairman Fred, just like his father, he's a big man. Like he's like an imposing figure, So it's like you sometimes physically, visually, you have no choice but to listen to him, because
yeah.
he's such a big man,
Yeah. And I'm sorry, Big Mike, am I holding you up still? Because I know he said he had to go and I had Big Mike still hanging on. Big
The,
Mike, are you
the,
there?
the conversation was so great that
Okay.
I'm multitasking now. Teaching an online course while also listening. So I'm actually, but I'm not in front of a camera or anything. I'm just like doing virtual tutoring.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, all right.
This was a great conversation. Thank you for the history. I didn't know. Now, this is what I did want to bring up, Gardis, but I didn't know if it was appropriate.
Mhm.
Bobby Rush. I knew nothing about Congressman Bobby Rush. I was reading an article from Black Panther to politician,
Mhm.
and I did not know Bobby Rush, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
and if he still is in contact with the family, what does Bobby Rush, when he switched over to politician, did he just leave that behind? I wonder.
Well, I mean, the thing was that a lot of some of the Black Panther leaders basically kind of assimilated into politics. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if Big Mike is listening, I believe Bobby Seals actually ran for mayor of San Francisco, I believe. Several Black Panthers have ran for offices, including Bobby Rush. Now, Bobby Rush was, the Minister of Defense of the Illinois Black Panther Party under Chairman Fred Sr. But I think that whole assassination thing, it kind of made him shy away from it, because during that time too, there was such a repression against law enforcement against the Panthers, because a couple of days after Chairman Fred gets assassinated, there was a raid in Los Angeles. I think it was like 2 days later, or maybe the next day, where they raided the Black Panther headquarters in LA. And then they did one in another part of the country as well. So the assassination of Chairman Fred Sr. kind of culminated in this coordinated attack by the government against the Black Panther Party during that time. So, yeah, I mean, it was getting to the point in the late 60s, early 70s where the Panthers were being violently attacked. And also during that time, Huey P. Newton, they had arrested Huey P. Newton, and he spent a couple of years in jail. And many feel like something had happened to him when he spent time in jail, because he came out a little different. Because as soon as he came out, he started basically kind of disavowing certain Black Panther parties and chapters across the country. And then he got into this, spat with Eldridge Cleaver, who, oddly enough, Eldridge Cleaver actually became a kind of like a right-wing Republican evangelist, Christian evangelist, after he left the Black Panther Party. So it was kind of like a weird time, and what they did to a lot of the Panthers during that time, because many of them were violently attacked. Many of them, like Huey P. Newton, when they went to jail, there was certain things that they did to him, and they might have did that to Huey, to Minister Huey, because of the fact that he was a prominent member of the Black Panther Party, and many people feel like it changed him in a negative way, because being locked up in, as Chairman Fred Jr. says, in the concentration camp instead of a prison, they're able to, do, experiments on Black men, which to this day, many people claim that, many Black men who get locked up, they do like these physical experiments, mental, psychological experiments. But I mean, being locked up in prison, and I've had relatives who've been, locked up in solitary graded confinement, it does something to you.
Mm-hmm.
It does something to you, and you don't come out reformed. Actually, you come out differently, or maybe even worse than what you was before. So there was a purpose. There was a coordinated attack with the Panthers. We got Panthers who were shot, Panthers who had to leave the country, like Joan Chesimard, which who went to Cuba for a couple of years. Stokely Carmichael had to go to Ghana, and generally Fred Hampton Sr. killed at 21 years old.
Mm-hmm. They saw him as a threat immediately.
Now, because I'm still amazed, like, King and Dr. King and Malcolm X, they didn't see their 40th birthday, which, kind of relatively young, because I think they both died at 30, 38, 39 years old. And,
Mm-hmm.
That's a longer life than Chairman Fred Sr., but 21 years old. Like, I wasn't even thinking on that level at 21.
We're approaching 60 years on Friday of Malcolm X's assassination.
Yeah, I forgot it was in February. It was in February, and Malcolm took a he took a little road to his to his being a freedom fighter as well. But at the same time, Malcolm was tagged as a very intelligent boy when he was in school, like straight A's, very good academically, and he wanted to be a lawyer at one point. But the conditions that he was in, his father was killed by the Klan, mom, was put in an insane asylum, and the subsequent children basically got thrown into foster care. And this is why Malcolm, led the life that he lived early on in his life. But then again, when he got out of prison, he started to observe things and change his life. And Malcolm, progressed in his time, towards the end of his life, where despite the fact that, he was raised up in the Nation of Islam, he realized that, he kind of outgrew the nation. And this is no shot at the nation, because, I know brothers in the nation who kind of talk about Malcolm's leaving the nation and how that kind of left a stain on it. But at the same time, the nation actually did save him. The nation actually saved him. But as he grew and as he started to understand the system of racism, the system of capitalism, and how it has an adverse effect to Black folks, he even elevated himself even more, and this is what got him killed.
So let me ask you a question. And I was supposed to be gone like 20, 30 minutes ago, but this conversation is so interesting. So let me ask you a question. So I don't know if you ever listened to, you probably have listened to MLK's last speech.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree that he's almost like he was saying his own eulogy?
I think King probably realized that he was targeted for assassination maybe a year before. So he just was wondering when it was going to happen.
That's a hard pill to swallow, knowing that you're going to be gone in like any day. Like, wow. Because I know there was a bomb threat with King when he landed in Memphis. On the airplane.
Well, yeah. So this is an interesting story that I want to share, because last year I had the privilege to go to Montgomery, Alabama, and I was able to meet a guy named Nelson Malden, 90-year-old activist in Montgomery, Alabama. Why is he important? Because Nelson Malden was Martin Luther King's barber. So whenever Martin Luther King came to Montgomery, he used to go to him. So he told me an interesting story when I was there. He said that a couple of months before King was assassinated, there was a sociologist from Alabama A&M who was also a client of his in the barbershop. King and him had this discussion where it basically kind of broke out into an argument, because the sociologist from Alabama A&M asked Dr. King, why did he have to speak out against the Vietnam War? Why does he have to speak out against President Johnson and several other people who, he said, Johnson helped you sign the Civil Rights Bill. And, King basically said, morally, it was right to speak out against the war and against. So then they got into this heated argument, and he said it got into this heated argument where he literally, the sociologist told King, he said, you keep this up and they are going to kill you. And he said everything in the barbershop stopped. And Dr. King looked at him and he told him, you have a great day, and walked out the barbershop.
Wow.
Several months later, King gets assassinated.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Big Mike.
Oh, that wasn't me. Yeah, sorry for the tech problems. I did hear the tail end about the barbershop where they said you continue this, they're gonna kill you. He walked out. Wow. Do you think they hit a nerve with Dr. King?
I think it did, and like I said, I believe he already knew that he was marked and targeted for death, and I think he knew well before that last speech. And I think everybody else knew during that time. I mean, the sociologists who we argued with at their barbershop said it, but he said Dr. King never refuted him.
To be fighting for the justice of others, that's definitely a calling. To also care about others while you're fighting. And what I really love what Chairman said today regarding terminology and how we use it. That's very important. And I think that all of these leaders had something in common, and that was that.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I was talking to Chairman because Chairman knows about Neely Fuller Jr., who just recently passed. He wrote 2 books, and I think I got it here. He wrote 2 books: The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a compensatory counter-racist codified word guide, and he wrote a United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a compensatory counter-racist code. Now, why are these 2 books important? Well, Neely Fuller was one of the people who wanted people to look at racism as more of a system than just a feeling of I hate you because of the color of your skin. See, we tend to think of racism as just some emotional reaction or feeling towards a race of people, or that type of thing, and we don't look at it as a system. Why are Black people in these conditions? Who writes the policies that move Black people into certain areas that are destitute? Why is there certain policies written? Because in areas where Black people are, they're undereducated, they're malnourished, now they're having bad water. This is all a part of the system of racism. And racism isn't just the Ku Klux Klan or the Nazi Party. Racism can be people that we see in our government. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, a racist is somebody that uses the N-word loosely, because some of the worst racists probably never use the N-word in public at all. I mean, look at Donald Trump. I mean, I believe he used the N-word, but you've never heard him say it publicly. I haven't heard him say it publicly. But you look at somebody like him. So Neely Fuller basically had wrote these books because he felt that one of the tactics and one of the things that white people have that they use to enforce the system of racism is conflict with other Black people. And part of this conflict comes with behavior, but it also comes with terminology. Because he felt like, you remember how in the movie Malcolm X, he talked about how when he looked at the dictionary, everything that was Black, is worse or evil, and everything that was white, was good and pure. Well, that's what Neely Fuller did. He kind of like took some terms that, we use on an everyday basis and kind of made us examine it. Like, when you're talking about blackball, why does it have to be blackball? How come it can't be white ball? Because white, when you refer to white is good and Black is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So he was one of the first people to kind of like examine how we talk and how the system of racism has, embedded in us a certain code that upholds the system, because we just use this stuff unconsciously, just like we call people the N-word as like a term of endearment. But it also besets to our the behaviors that we have, because we mostly have conflict with other Black people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame that has happened, but this is what upholds the system. Because in a sense, and this is what Neely Fuller also talks about, is that we are encouraged to fight one another. We are encouraged to have these wars against one another, these fights, and whatever we have.
Yeah, I agree. And would you say that's a learned behavior, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, when we get out the womb, we're already programmed to believe that Black people are inferior. Black people can't act. Them Negroes over there, they ghetto. We don't want to be around Black folks because of the fact that, all we do is holler, scream, fight, cuss, all kind of things. But at the same time, this is the world we live in, because racism isn't just an American thing. Racism is a global thing. It's a worldwide system, and it's also a recent phenomenon when you're talking about human history. I mean, people didn't start categorizing people by race back in 1,000 years ago. Race is a social construct that was started maybe 500, 600 years ago by white Europeans, because white Europeans had realized when they started getting out of their own little crucible of Europe, they started to realize that they were the minority in the world, and so what do? They started classifying certain people in certain colors, like black, yellow, red, and then white. And white is all the way up here, where everybody else is kind of like down here, because what they do is they suppress people's civilizations, they suppress their history. They have these pseudoscientific facts about because Black people's heads are this big, they have little brains, and their culture is cannibalism and is savage. And this is why history is important, because when you look at history, you find out that civilizations started in Africa. Matter of fact, when you look at science, because the first fossils was, first human fossils was found in Africa. And we discovered, and I think many scientists will agree, and sociologists would agree, that life started in Africa. But you had to demonize Africa as a savage land because of the fact that Europeans wouldn't be able to conquer the world without that concept.
I was reading because you brought up Neely Fuller, and he said no, not he said that, but like you were saying, it should be, we had to reflect on our own experiences with racism, as well as broader social implications. Okay, and it's important that's what I hadn't heard of Neely Fuller, so I did put the link in here, you guys, so you could find the books that Gardis are talking about, because of course Gardis had the books behind him. Of course he did. And it says the importance of self-awareness and community solidarity in the struggle against racism. And that's what you were saying, like sometimes it's within as well. Like inside the communities, when you expand outside the communities, it's everywhere. but solidarity is important.
Yeah. And see, Neely Fuller doesn't, and the same thing with Dr. Francis Cress Welsing as well. They don't separate the terms racism and white supremacy. They're from their standpoint, it's interchangeable. So racism, white supremacy is basically kind of the same thing. And one of Neely Fuller's famous quotes that I would, if there's anything you learn from Neely Fuller, he says this. He says, if you don't understand racism, white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else you think you understand will only confuse you.
Gardis and Big Mike, you know what else I would like to cover since we're on this subject? Later down the road, when you guys have a chance to join me again, the Willie Lynch letter, would that be something you'd be interested in covering?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime Thursdays, they can definitely be happy to hop on a call like this.
Okay. Thank you so much. Do you have anything in closing, Gardis? Because I know I could talk about. We're gonna have to do a tour of the Hampton House, and I will put the links in the description box as well. So whatever chairman sends you, Gardis, please let me know, and I'll put it in the description box, and we'll share. And thank you for bringing up the fact, like his mother babysat Emmett Till.
No, Chairman Fred Sr.'s mother.
Chairman Fred Sr.'s mother babysit Emmett Till. And I don't know, I went by Emmett Till's home, and they're doing a museum there as well. Yep. So we have a lot of history here in Chicago. We have to respect the sacrifices that these people made. Like just Chairman Fred Hampton Sr., 21 years old, and the FBI saw him as an enemy or saw him as a threat. 21.
Exactly. 21 years old. Yep.
So this is very interesting. Thank you so much, Gardis Watts. Thank you, Big Mike.
Thank you, Chairman Fred Jr. Like I said, I was, I did have something, but I was like, if Chairman Jr. could come up, he'll be my mouthpiece because he knows the legacy. He knows the legacy better than me.
Yeah, agreed. I nothing but it's nothing like getting it from a primary source.
Exactly. Primary sources of the best resources for a historian is primary sources, and obviously he's a primary source.
Absolutely. And just for him to come on a teeny channel like this to spread the knowledge, make sure you guys share everything that Chairman Fred Hampton is doing. I know we said, was it February the 17th? I'll put everything in the description box, you guys. Thank you, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., for just taking time out and giving us a tour. Like, we didn't even expect that. Gardis, next time, I almost scrumped. Next time, give me a warning. Give me a warning next time. I'm in it like, oh my! I said, what? I had to put another pair of glasses on.
Yeah, and look, he actually shows his face on the screen, so like,
oh my goodness,
you know that's him.
Yes, you know that's him. And you know what? I was like, out of all days to get busy, I would have loved to, because I was so involved in the conversation. I would have loved to be on screen and engage with him. So we're gonna review actually some of the things he said, and then we're gonna talk about the Hampton House on our next video. I'll bring up some more things about Chairman Fred Hampton, and he said he has a radio show too with Lady of Rage as well.
Yeah, free them all. It's on Intellectual Radio. You can actually catch it, on Intellectual Radio. It's the same station. Dinashe is on.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the Intellectual Radio. So they share studio.
This is very interesting. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. It's always great talking with you. I'll see you at the next Thank you. Thank you so much. I am stumped from words today, you guys. I wasn't expecting this. So thank you so much, Gardis Watts, Big Mike, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Berg, for having me on and having Big Mike on as well.
Oh, wait, 1 second.
What was up?
Foxy Roxy, because I wish you would have came in earlier. Foxy Roxy said my son is part of the Fred Hampton Gun Club here in DC. Now I think Chairman spoke on a club, so I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, he did. He spoke on that, and yeah, he had questions about that because I don't think they're associated with Chairman Jr. So
yeah. So that Foxy Roxy will have to I'm gonna clip that part because he did speak on that. He said someone reached out to him and said, hey, I'm a part of your gun club, and he said, well, they're not affiliated with the Hampton House with Chairman
with Chairman Jr.
So that might be something to look into because a lot of people do use his father's name.
And that's why, like I said, when I found out he was coming on, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna let him speak.
Oh yeah, and I know I tried to say in this earlier, but can you believe they're still shooting up his father's final resting place?
Yep.
Where they had to bulletproof his tomb, his headstone, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, we spoke with Fred Hampton Jr. today, so that's who we got to go with. Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. And he was talking about some of the false narratives out there and how people can get it misconstrued. So yeah, look into that, Foxy Roxy. That might, we don't, we're here in Chicago with Fred Hampton Jr.'s son, his namesake, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr.'s son, and his namesake.
Yep.
And we got a piece of Black August in there too, Gardis.
Yeah. Yep. he had pictures of George Jackson. I was thinking about our Black August piece.
I really appreciated that. This was such a blessed conversation. Thank you, everyone, for joining, staying online. And I'm gonna repost this. And don't forget to check the description box on how you can support SaveTheHamptonHouse.org. Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. today was a total surprise to me. So you guys, I'm still in shock. I am still in shock. So thank you again, Gardis. Thank you, Big Mike.
All right. Thank you, Berg.
Thanks. Have a great one. Have a great one.
Right.
Good night, gentlemen. Oh wow. I am speechless. You guys, if I had no idea that I've heard Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. speak. I went to events to hear him speak. I've never met him before. So to have him just really pop on the channel and give us history of this legacy and how this legacy lives on through him. And we got it from a firsthand source where he was able to let us know how he's still serving the community, still giving out free books, still continuing a lunch program, still, being on did you guys see Judas and the Black Messiah? To be a part where he was able to, him and his mother. I meant to his mother. She changed her name. I do not want to disrespect her. Let me pull up. Her name has changed. Akua Nujeri. I hope I'm saying it correctly. I should ask Gardis before he left, but to have the chairman here who also was able to tell Hollywood, to the best way he could, you're going to tell my father's story correctly. You're going to tell my father's story correctly. And just this, I'm floored. Gardis Watts, you never know who you meet in this life. So happy to have met you. And thank you for believing in this channel to even refer us to the chairman, Fred Hampton Jr. And he trusts you and he came up. Thank you so, so much. I will never forget this. Y'all, I'm almost in tears because that was such a powerful conversation. to talk about in Black History Month. In Black History Month. And you guys know how much I love Chicago history, how passionate I am about that and Black history. We're going to have to tour the Hampton House. We're going to have to do that. So we'll try to make arrangements for that. And also, if you can, donate. He's still continuing the lunch program. He's still continuing what's going on, his father's legacy. He's still giving out books. He's still giving out knowledge. He's still traveling and spreading the word about his legacy. And you guys, it was so many questions I did want to ask, but I didn't know if it was too personal. Like, is this the house where the assassination happened? I didn't want to ask that, even though I know he has to relive this every day. I just didn't know if that was okay to ask at that time, because how can he walk through those rooms? That's so brave of him. And also when he said he went across the street to the school, he went to the same school that his dad attended, right? And remember, we have to remember Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., like Gardis explained to us, he was not even born. He was not even born when they did that to his father. You have to research, and we have to respect the sacrifices that people made, and how they're still, like he said, they sent everyone after him just because his son, Fred Hampton Jr., they sent everyone after him just because of his name. Because if his dad at 21 changed the world, then here's his namesake coming next. It was just such an amazing conversation, you guys. Now I feel like I think this is, I never replay my videos and listen myself to things. This is going to be something I'm gonna have to listen to, because this was iconic. This was iconic. So thank you so much to the Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., Gardis Watts, Big Mike. Thank you for the conversation. Thanks for everyone that engaged in the chat. It was a beautiful conversation. And you guys, we're going to continue this. Let me give you this in the link again. Let's give you the link. So if you would like to reach out to Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. to support the house. This is still the house. This is the Hampton House, and they have saved it. They give tours. They're still building the youth over there. They're still continuing the legacy. So thank you so much. Now, I'm not as you guys know, I'm not close there. That's on a different side of Chicago, but I'm making it my business to go there. And thank you again. You guys, we got a tour. We got a whole tour of what he has going on in the Hampton House. And thank you again, you guys. This was a great conversation. I'll never forget it. This probably would change the way I use terminology. I really appreciate that part of the conversation. You guys, I also will link the books that Gardis Watts referenced as well. All right, you guys, I love you. Remember, take care of yourself and each other. And dare I say, we gotta say free them all, right? Have a great one. Bye.
Commentary blue, commentary burgundy, commentary, comment blue, commentary, comment burgundy.